Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'll be discussing Collingwood's best 22 in my opinion, heading into round 1 against the Geelong Football Club. Obviously they're fresh off a premiership, so we got to go in with a pretty strong side in my opinion. And yeah, I'm sorry if there's any people in this video that you wanted to see selected. This is just my selection. It's not the best selection, that's for sure, but I've worked pretty hard on it. I think it's pretty solid. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's pretty solid. Now, I was literally about to film the video. I clicked onto the Collingwood latest news page. I'm literally not joking. I said, "Oh, well, I better check if there's an update on Lipinski because, yeah, if I film this video and get it out in a day or two afterwards, and Lipinski's out for majority of the season, it's gonna look pretty silly, this video. And good thing I did check because, yeah, the Pinsky's out for half the season. So, yeah, it's very, very depressing for not only the Pinsky but for me to have to watch a gun of that quality just miss out on that much of footy. It's just so painful. I knew he wasn't going to be up for Geelong. I just knew we shouldn't risk him. And now, well, it's even worse now, half the season. That's just so depressing. Horrible news. Anyway, I guess the notable absences I'll start with from this list are Jack Ginnivan because of the suspension, Patrick Lipinski due to his injury, and I put Nathan Kruger in there as a notable absence because I think he would make the cut as an emergency if he was available, but of course, he's still got another shoulder injury. He's had like 3 or something since being at the club. Lipinski's had 2, so not doing too well with the shoulder injuries, certainly not. I've also put Myercheck in doubt for this list, just a quick warning. But we'll start with fullback. I've got Brandon Maynard, who should get some midfield rotation, certainly, through games. But to start at halfback, Darcy Moore, obviously, as our key back and the captain of the club. You can't go wrong with Darcy Moore. And I put Jack Crisp back there to start the game. I know he's a midfielder. He's going to be playing midfield 90%. But for that 10%, I think he'll just start games in defence and we'll do our rotation. We've got that much midfielders. We can't squeeze them or win. Even with Lipinski out, it's still a big midfield squeeze. Half back, this is where you want good run. So I've put Isaac Quainer on the field. And I think lots of people have been downing Isaac Quainer. But he is an absolute superstar. And, well, I assume everyone's Collingwood fans that are watching this. If you're not a Collingwood fan and you're watching this, then yeah, I don't know what you're doing. But anyways, Isaac Quainer, I think most Collingwood fans would know the story of Isaac Quainer and how he's risen, and we obviously selected him with great belief, and he's really turned out to be a massive win for us. So yeah, I've got him in our half back. I've also got Jeremy Howe at centre half back now. I feel like he can play tall to start with against Geelong because there are Tom Hawkins, like he may not play. So if he does play, then he may start off the field just because he's a little bit older. But yeah, who knows? And I've got Pendlebury back there. No room for him in the midfield, but he'll obviously be chucked into the midfield. Now on the wing, I've got Steele Sidebottom, and the other wing, I've got Josh Dacos. Pretty simple. If you're hoping for a Bianco and Ed Allen, I'm sorry, but I just feel like the experience of Sidebottom and Josh Dacos is pretty simple for round 1. And I've got Nick Dacos right in the guts. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Nick Dacos in the guts. He's got to be playing in the guts, and I'm glad Craig McRae's realised that and has put him straight in the centre of the field. Half forward, I've got Taylor Adams starting forward. I've liked the move in the pre-season. He started forward in most games. Maybe for like the first quarter he plays forward, and then he just plays midfield in the midfield rotations with guys like De Goey, Josh Dacos, Lipinski before he got injured. But yeah, I think he'll start forward, and he's kicking 2-3 goals in his forward role, and then he's kicking 1 in the midfield. So he's kicking 3 goals a game, really, Taylor Adams, and he's just becoming a brilliant player, both midfield and forward. Now, I've gone down McStade, centre half forward. This could obviously change. He could rotate with Myercheck, obviously, but Yeah, the way we were bombing it to my check suggests that he will be our full forward. We weren't bombing it to him, but we were obviously targeting him more than McStay in our practice game against Hawthorn. And I've also got, of course, the clutch man himself, Jamie Elliott, in at half forward. Now, full forward, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. I've got Bo McCreary in that pocket. I think he's pretty much made that spot his own. He's just a brilliant pressure kid. And in the other pocket, I've got Bobby Hill. He's in for the Ginnivan suspension, really. I mean, I couldn't really get Bobby Hill in the side anyways if Ginnivan was playing. But he's a very, very similar player to McCreary in my eyes. Obviously, he doesn't have as much height, but he's very, very quick, like a McCreary, and he's a smart player, that's for sure. And he's a good recruit, I reckon. And I've got my check in doubt. I've also put in brackets here because, you know, with a Corky, there's a chance that he might not play, or Craig McRae just says, "Oh, I don't play him," but he should play. Fair enough. He should play. And followers, pretty simple. Darcy Cameron, obviously our main ruck. Now that Grundy's left, Tom Mitchell, can't go wrong with the fantasy pig himself. And Jordan Agawi, I'm glad he's not suspended. I don't think he was going to get suspended anyway, but yeah, Degoe, starting in the guts. I think, like Nick Dacos, you got to start some superstars in the middle, and then rotate Chris, Pendlebury, Adams, these guys into the midfield. Now, this is where the video gets a bit more interesting. Of course, I got Mason Cox on the bench. I think he's our first obvious option in the bench because he has to ruck with Cameron. I don't see McStay doing any backup rucking this season. I've got Johnny Noble, of course, such a good defender. I mean, I've put Crispin Pendlebury to start in defence, but Noble will literally slot in there after the first few minutes, you'd think, and Crisp would go in the midfield. He even plays a bit forward sometimes, Crisp. And yeah, I think Pendlebury will start in defence. But yeah, Johnny Noble, pretty simple option. Now, these two players are the guys I've got in ahead of the four that I've named them as emergency. And I'm really, really, really sorry to those four, even five. There should have been 5 emergencies. I would have loved it. I don't know if you can do the sub rule or not because, yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, there's 5 blokes that. One of them didn't even get named for emergency, which is just kind of sad for him. But yeah, on the bench, I've gone because Geelong have some height with Jeremy Cameron, Gary Rowan. If Hawkins plays, then this guy is a lock, I reckon, and that's Billy Frampton. We need a tall defender to help out more. Howe can't do it all himself, so I've selected him over Murphy, and I'm really, really sorry. I don't know if that's going to happen, though. I think Murphy's still a pretty good player. Best 22 player should. But I just put Frampton over him because of height. I feel like I would prefer Murphy, though. And who knows, we might play Murphy over him. And this is the Lipinski replacement. I would have had him in this spot on the bench, but I've replaced him with Eddie Allen, the young kid. I reckon he'll make his debut against the Cats. Now, I've given him a game. I don't know if it's going to happen. The 5 blokes in front of him, in most other fans' eyes, are probably ahead of him. But I've put him in because he's a winger. He can play wing, and Josh Dacos gets more midfield time and more forward line time, like Lipinski. Josh Dacos, in my eyes, is probably the most similar player to Lipinski. So he does that role, and Ed Allen, who is a great young kid, can play his role on the wing. So I feel like that's a good side. Let me know your Collingwood fans, your best 22 down below. Or if you don't go for Collingwood, yeah, comment down your team's best 22 and your predictions. Suppose I should say my emergencies. Will Hoskin Elliott, I just haven't seen enough from him to earn his spot on the side. Obviously, Nathan Murphy. If the sub rule is in play still, I don't think it's a medical sub. I think it's like an injury sub or something like that now. I'm not 100% sure on the rules, but I think Murphy would probably be our option just because we can fling him forward too. And we've got midfield coverage, heaps. McInnes, I've loved his preseason. I honestly think he's probably the most chance out of the five players that I've got listed as emergency. Obviously, we can only pick 4 emergencies, but the other 2 are Bianco and Carmichael. Now, I have Bianco slightly behind Carmichael, just because we selected Carmichael over him against Hawthorn, which probably proves that, and he played decently in that last quarter too, which it's unfortunate, sure, for uh, Bianco, because he's a good player and I can see him playing lots of games this season. I just don't know whether it's going to happen or not. But yeah, that's my best 22. Let me know down below what yours is for your club or for Collingwood fans yourself. Yeah, unfortunate news about Lipinski. I hope he recovers well, because he's the absolute GOAT. Same with Ginnivan. My 2 favourite players are out. It's just horrible. The worst thing ever that could possibly happen. My favourite 2 players are out. Yeah, not great, but yeah, hopefully we can get a round 1 win against the Cats. Round 1 is absolutely flying now. Yeah, I'll just quickly tell you as well before I end the video. Sorry. That my predictions, my like round 1 predictions, and most of my predictions videos, last year they came out on Mondays. Yeah, today they'll be, this year they'll be coming out on Wednesday nights. Probably expect them around 5 to 7, in between that bracket. Just because I think it gives you more time if you find out about injuries or other things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's just better. That's the time I've scheduled. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, stay tuned for some more cool up and coming videos on the channel.